You know that exact feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like you sit down at your desk, you've got a fresh, dangerously hot cup of coffee in your hand.
Oh, yeah, you're ready to go.
Exactly. You are completely, undeniably determined to be ultra productive today. You're going to conquer the world. Or, well, at least your inbox.
Right, the intentions are always so good at that stage.
They really are. So you pull out a pristine notebook, or maybe you open a brand new digital workspace, and you just start crafting this massive, flawless master plan.
The color coding phase.
Yes, the color coding. You're time blocking every single minute of your afternoon. You're laying out this exact, rigid sequence of events that will, unequivocally lead to total success.
And then reality hits.
Right, because the moment you finally finish writing this beautiful, intricate plan, you just feel completely exhausted.
Yeah.
You're so utterly drained that you don't actually do a single thing on the list. You just close the notebook, let out a long sigh, and maybe go look at your phone for an hour.
It is an incredibly universal experience. I mean, what happens there is the plan itself essentially became the work.
Yeah.
And the prospect of actually living up to that completely rigid, flawless architecture you just created, well, it isn't motivating, it's paralyzing.
Totally paralyzing.
You basically built a cage out of your own good intention.
A cage. That's exactly what it feels like. And, well, welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
That feeling of burnout before you even start the actual work is something we're unpacking today. We're looking at a few really fascinating sources, articles, and notes on the ease of true discipline, the paradox of perfect tools, and the power of low-stakes consistency.
Which are great texts, by the way. Very insightful.
They really are, and our mission for this deep dive is to trace this journey. We want to figure out how we move from that paralyzing perfectionism to the quiet, unstoppable power of just being simple and consistent.
Because we fundamentally misunderstand what it takes to actually get things done.
We really do. And the source material we're looking at connects a lot of dots regarding why our brains seem to, fight us so hard when we try to be productive.
Yeah, we tend to mistakenly equate productivity with total absolute control.
Right.
When we want to be productive, our first instinct is to try and control every single variable in our environment and our schedule. We make those big plans because we want to execute everything perfectly.
Right. I mean, the instinct is good. We care about the outcome.
Exactly.
But I'm fascinated by the mechanics of this. Like,
Yeah.
why does that desire for control backfire so spectacularly? Why does simply writing a to-do list suddenly make me need a nap?
It comes down to cognitive load
Yeah.
and how our brain processes stress.
Okay, cognitive load.
Yeah. When you attempt to control too much, you're creating this massive psychological burden. Think about the prefrontal cortex,
The
right?
decision-making part of the brain.
Exactly. The part responsible for executive function, planning, decision-making. When you build a hyper-detailed, color-coded plan, your brain is suddenly forced to track a dozen different criteria for success instead of just one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you aren't just writing a report anymore. You're writing a report between 1.00 and 2.30 p.m. while using a specific methodology.
Right.
While ignoring all emails, while maintaining perfect posture,
Oh, wow. So the brain is treating all of those conditions as like pass-fail metrics.
Precisely. You've multiplied the ways you can fail.
That sounds exhausting just thinking about it.
It is. That elevated stress level triggers a physiological response. It literally drains your cognitive battery before you even begin the physical or mental labor of the task itself.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, your working memory gets overloaded, and ultimately that exhaustion shuts down your ability to take action. We end up doing absolutely nothing because the barrier to entry, which we built ourselves, by the way, is just too high.
I'm realizing that the sheer physical sensation of this is so frustrating. Because, again, the intention is to do a great job.
Of course.
But as you're explaining that cognitive load, an analogy comes to mind that I think perfectly captures this. It's like trying to hold a massive handful of dry sand tightly in your bare fist.
Oh, I like that visual. Walk us through the mechanics of that.
Well, imagine you're at the beach, right? You scoop up a huge handful of dry sand, and you desperately want to keep every single grain.
Okay.
That handful of sand is your day, your tasks, your massive ambitions for your project.
Right.
Because you want to control it all and not lose a single grain. You squeeze your fist as tightly as you possibly can.
Right, applying all that pressure.
Exactly. But what actually happens, the harder you squeeze, the more the sand just shoots out between your
Yeah,
fingers.
it just spills everywhere.
You are applying all this immense pressure, flexing every muscle in your arm, using all this energy, and the sand is still slipping away.
Mhm.
And eventually you open your hand and you have almost nothing left to show for it except a really cramped, painful hand and a sense of defeat.
That's a remarkably precise way to visualize the cognitive drain we were just talking about.
It really feels like a cramped hand in your brain.
It does. The cramped hand in your analogy is that mental exhaustion we feel after overplanning. You put all your energy into the grip, into the illusion of control, rather than the actual retention of the material.
Right, focusing on the wrong thing entirely.
Exactly. Your energy is spent managing the anxiety of the task, not executing the task. And this leads to a real insight from the source material, which completely flips our standard cultural definition of discipline on its head.
Yeah, because normally we think of discipline as inherently punishing, don't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Cultural image of a, disciplined person is someone waking up at 4 a.m., taking a freezing cold shower, and just grinding through absolute misery
Yeah.
through sheer force of will.
We equate discipline with suffering, like if it doesn't hurt, it doesn't count.
Exactly.
But the texts point to something radical. True discipline is not about finding the perfect way or even the hardest way. True discipline is actually about finding the easy way.
Find the easy way. I mean, that feels almost illegal to say out loud.
It does, doesn't it?
We're so conditioned to believe that struggle is a prerequisite for value.
Which is exactly why we get stuck with our cramped hands.
Mhm.
If we define discipline as the relentless application of willpower to force a perfect outcome, we will inevitably mathematically fail.
Because willpower runs out.
Exactly. It's a finite biological resource. You only have so much of it in a day.
Right.
Finding the easy way means aggressively removing the friction. It means stripping away the unnecessary complexities of your grand plan and asking yourself, what is the simplest, lowest effort version of this task that still moves me forward?
That is such a perspective shift.
It is. True discipline is having the maturity and the wisdom to let go of the flawless plan so you can actually execute an imperfect one.
Okay, so if the grand plan is a trap and we're burning all our energy just holding onto the sand, how does this usually play out in our daily routines?
Well, it shows up in a few ways.
Because I'm realizing that for me, this stress doesn't always look like stress.
What does it look like for you?
It often looks like me spending 3 hours organizing my Notion workspace or my file folders instead of actually writing the copy I'm supposed to be writing.
And there it is. That's how the desire for control mutates.
It sneaks up on you.
It really does. It hides in the tools. It hides in the preparation phase. The source material calls this optimization addiction.
Optimization addiction. That's a brilliant and slightly terrifying term.
It's very accurate.
The text defines this as the habit of spending excessive amounts of time looking for the absolute best app, or the perfect organizational system,
Yep.
or even the ultimate piece of gear before actually beginning a task.
Right. The endless searching.
Is spending 3 hours watching YouTube reviews of running shoes instead of just going outside and jogging for 20 minutes in the old sneakers you already own.
Yes. Or, in a professional setting, it's a team spending 6 weeks debating which project management software to buy, instead of just building the prototype.
We do this all the time.
We do, because we convince ourselves that we cannot possibly start until the conditions are optimal. We think we need the best tools to do the best work.
Wait, hold on, though. I have to play devil's advocate and defend the planners and the spreadsheet lovers for a second here.
All right, let's hear it.
Isn't it just smart to be prepared? I mean,
Yeah.
if I'm going to do a job, shouldn't I ensure I have the right tools first?
To an extent, sure.
Like, if I'm going to paint my house, I don't just start slapping paint on the drywall with my bare hands.
Please don't do that.
Right. I go to the hardware store, I buy the right brushes, I get the painter's tape, the drop cloth. Isn't finding the right tool just basic good sense?
That's the trap right there.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is how our brains use that exact, highly logical justification to completely deceive us.
Really? How so?
Well, you are absolutely right that a painter needs a brush. You can't paint with your hands. But optimization addiction is not about acquiring the necessary brush.
Okay.
It's about standing in the paint aisle for 6 hours, debating the microscopic differences between two nearly identical brushes, reading online reviews about the bristles on your phone, and then going home because the store closed
Oh, man.
and the wall never gets painted.
Oof. Okay. I feel seen. And definitely not in a good way.
It happens to the best of us. The texts dismantle this assumption beautifully by looking at the underlying psychology.
What's going on under the hood?
This search for the best tool isn't about preparation at all. It's a hidden delay tactic. It provides the illusion of progress.
The illusion of progress. That hurts.
I know. When you're downloading a new productivity app, categorizing your folders, or researching the perfect workout routine, your brain reacts as if you are actually doing the work.
So you feel like you achieved something.
Exactly. You get a little hit of dopamine, you feel a sense of accomplishment, but you haven't actually produced anything of value.
It's procrastination wearing a really nice suit.
It's a highly sophisticated form of procrastination. And we have to ask why our brains do this.
Yeah, why are we tricking ourselves?
It's because starting the actual work is deeply vulnerable. The actual work is where you might fail.
Oh, yeah.
It's where you might write a line of code that breaks the software, or draft a chapter of your thesis that your advisor hates, or simply have to sit with the boredom and discomfort of a difficult task.
That makes a lot of sense.
The preparation phase, on the other hand, is completely safe. As long as you are optimizing, you haven't failed at the task yet. You're shielding your ego.
Wow. That completely changes how I view my elaborate color-coded calendar setups.
It's a shield.
It really is. Or why someone might spend a month picking the perfect domain name and website host for their new business, but never actually write a single product description.
Exactly.
As long as I'm getting ready to launch, the market can't reject my product.
Exactly. It's a shield against vulnerability and external judgment. And this is why the texts deliver a really profound truth that we have to internalize.
Which is?
Good enough is vastly superior to never starting at all. The mandate here is incredibly clear, though difficult to accept. Stop looking for perfect. Start doing.
Stop looking for perfect, start doing. It sounds so simple on a bumper sticker.
It does.
But when you're trapped in that cycle of optimization addiction, it feels like stepping off a cliff.
Oh, absolutely. It's scary.
You're so used to the warm, cozy safety of getting ready. If I drop my shield of preparation, I'm just standing there completely exposed, staring at a massive, terrifying project.
Vulnerable.
Yeah. So how do we actually do that? If we know the master plan is a trap and we know the perfect app is a delay tactic, what's the actual mechanism for starting?
This is where the concept of low-stakes consistency comes into play.
Low stakes.
Yes. If the problem is that the stakes are too high because we demand perfection, the solution is to radically lower the stakes.
The cure. The final piece of the source material dives deep into this.
It really does.
The answer to wanting to do more is giving ourselves permission to be profoundly unimpressive.
Unimpressive, messy, and decidedly average.
I love that. The text outlines these highly specific, actionable rules that completely subvert our perfectionist tendencies.
What are some of the rules it mentions?
It says things like, do a little, even if it's not very good. 5 minutes of work is better than 0. One single push-up is better than none.
Let's linger on that one single push-up concept, because think about how deeply offensive that sounds to the perfectionist mind.
Oh, I hate this.
The perfectionist brain hears that and says, if I'm not going to the gym for an hour, wearing the right gear, and doing a full-body split, why bother? One push-up is statistically meaningless.
Right. The perfectionist looks at one push-up or writing one single line of code or drafting one sentence of a report and calls it a waste of time. But the text argues that it's actually the most important action you will ever take. Because 5 minutes of terrible, messy, focused work is infinitely greater than 0 minutes.
Yeah.
Doing a little, even if it's bad, gets you on the board. You're no longer sitting in the stands. You're in the game.
And if we look at the neurology and psychology behind this, we can see why it's so incredibly effective.
Let's get into the brain science of it.
When you engage in this low-stakes consistency, you are fundamentally rewiring your relationship with the task. You're bypassing the amygdala.
That's the part of your brain that processes fear and threat, right?
Exactly. When your goal is to sit down and write a 10-page flawless business proposal, your brain registers that as a massive cognitive threat.
It's too big.
It requires high energy, high motivation, and optimal conditions. So it fights you. It begs you to go organize your digital folders instead.
But when the goal is literally just to open the document and write one single terrible sentence,
The threat is gone.
the amygdala stays quiet.
Right. The barrier to entry is so incredibly low that your brain cannot reasonably formulate an excuse not to do it. You bypass the stress response entirely.
Wow.
You aren't squeezing the sand anymore. Your hand is open. And what happens next is the magic of momentum.
Momentum is so huge.
It is. Isaac Newton's first law of motion applies to human psychology, too. An object at rest stays at rest, but an object in motion stays in motion.
You essentially trick yourself into starting because nobody is too tired to do one push-up. Nobody's too busy to write one single sentence.
Exactly.
And once you're down on the floor to do that one push-up, the friction of starting is gone. You're already there. Very often, you end up doing 5 or 10.
Right, because you're in motion.
Once you write that one terrible sentence, the intimidation of the blank page is defeated. You usually write another.
And even if you don't, that's the crucial part the text emphasizes.
Really?
Yeah, even if you literally only write the one sentence or do the one push-up and then immediately stand up and walk away, it is still a massive victory.
Wait, how is that a victory, though? If I only write one sentence of a 10-page proposal, the proposal still isn't done.
Because it's a victory of identity. The sources echo this perfectly. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
A vote for your identity.
Exactly. By doing small things, often, even poorly, you are slowly, methodically building the identity of someone who shows up.
Oh, that is so powerful.
You are proving to yourself every single day that you are a writer or an athlete or an entrepreneur. You aren't someone who just plans to do things. You're someone who actually executes.
It changes how you see yourself.
It really does. This methodical, low-pressure approach is proven by the research to work exponentially better over the long term than waiting around for those rare, fleeting moments where the stars align and you feel motivated enough to do something big and perfect.
It's the tortoise and the hare, but applied to neurobiology.
That's a great way to put it.
Consistency builds the absolute foundation. Intensity is just the decoration on top. It's the quiet, unstoppable power of just showing up.
Just showing up.
The low stakes remove the fear, and the consistency builds the reality.
It's a radical shift from the all-or-nothing mindset that dominates so much of our culture's conversation around productivity.
We really do glorify the grind, don't we?
We're taught to idolize the hustle, the marathon sessions, the flawless execution. But true productivity demands that we humble ourselves enough to accept small, messy, incremental progress.
So to bring this all full circle for you listening, the journey we've taken through these sources today is really a journey of letting go.
It is.
We start by dropping that exhausting illusion of perfect control. We have to stop squeezing the handful of sand so tightly that our hands cramp and we lose everything anyway.
Let go of the sand.
Exactly. We have to recognize our optimization addiction for what it truly is. A very clever dopamine-fueled delay tactic wearing the disguise of preparation.
It's a tricky one.
We have to realize that standing in the paint aisle for 6 hours searching for the perfect brush is just hiding from the vulnerability of actually painting the wall.
And finally, the cure is replacing all of that immense pressure and elaborate planning with the incredibly simple, wonderfully imperfect daily habit of doing just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Embracing low-stakes consistency means accepting that good enough today is always, without exception, better than perfect tomorrow.
It's completely liberating when you really internalize it. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present.
It is liberating, but it also requires a deep level of honesty with yourself. And this raises an important question, something for you to seriously reflect on after we wrap up today.
What's the question?
Well, if the need for perfect is often just a subconscious delay tactic to avoid the vulnerability of starting, what important goal in your life have you been delaying right now by telling yourself you're just getting ready?
Oh, that's a heavy one. What massive project, what creative endeavor, what personal goal are you endlessly preparing for just so you don't have to face the fear of starting it?
It's worth thinking about.
Let that sit with you. The next time you find yourself sitting at that desk, staring at a blank screen or a pristine notebook, and you feel tempted to draft another flawless, impossible master plan, close the notebook.
Drop the shield.
Close the spreadsheet, drop the shield, just do the 5 minutes, write the one terrible sentence, do the one push-up today.
Start messy.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go out there and start messy.
Start messy and keep going. Thanks for listening.